While millions of corporate professionals up and down the UK drag themselves through a toxic cycle of endless notifications and mental exhaustion, a hidden group of high performers has cracked the code. The traditional productivity landscape is completely broken. Today, we're exposing why your current tech setup is creating your exhaustion, and the one overlooked AI method that quietly cures 90% of workplace burnout. Let's have a look at the first crucial pillar of this system. Topic 1. The cognitive filtering trap. In the bustling heart of London's financial district, an ambitious professional often wakes up with one clear, but fatally flawed, objective: out-executing everyone else by working faster. This chap believes technology's whole purpose is to amplify his speed, treating AI like a specialized hyperactive PA who can type faster and trawl through more data in minutes than a human could manage in a day. He snaps up every specialized tool that promises to shave off a few seconds, never once stopping to consider the cumulative toll on his mind. But a wise mentor knows that using advanced kit merely to speed up a broken, exhausting workflow is like supercharging a train that's already hurtling towards a brick wall of mental fatigue. Instead of using AI to ruthlessly filter out the digital noise, this well-meaning professional uses it as a sophisticated megaphone to blast even more data straight into his own face every hour. He trains a specialized large language model to summarize 50 generic industry articles he was never going to read anyway, which only ramps up his sense of inadequacy when he realizes he still hasn't absorbed any real depth. Mastermind strategists, the sort inspired by the calculated principles found in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, understand that real power lies not in processing generic information at breakneck speed, but in aggressively cutting out everything that doesn't advance your own, specific, definite purpose. By falling headfirst into this alluring but dangerous technological productivity trap, this professional unwittingly morphs from a sovereign leader into a desperate, overwhelmed manager of a mountain of algorithmic rubbish. He thinks he's gaining a crucial professional edge, but he's really just building himself a sophisticated, invisible cage out of redundant subscriptions and pointless summarized reports. This tragic, invisible inefficiency quietly fractures his focus, the single mental asset required to close high-leverage deals and generate genuinely original strategic insight. Yet understanding this foundational, invisible error is merely the warm-up act before discovering the one method that changes absolutely everything about how he operates. Topic 2. The autonomous buffer system. The true master of corporate leverage doesn't see advanced software as a mere tool for generating more work, but rather as an unyielding firewall designed to protect his most sacred resource, his finite attention span. The secret method used by the top 1% of strategic operators involves building an autonomous, multi-layered digital buffer zone between their daily routine and the chaotic, non-stop demands of the modern office. This sophisticated framework works like an unshakable chief of staff standing firmly at the door, ruthlessly turning away minor distractions and digesting hefty, complicated files before letting them anywhere near your active attention. To build this elite architecture, a savvy professional skips the basic chat windows altogether and sets up deep, multi-stage automated agents using proper structured frameworks inside developer tier engines like Claude 3.5 Sonnet, for instance, rather than wading through dozens of chaotic, unstructured project threads on platforms like Slack or Microsoft Teams throughout the afternoon. He builds a custom pipeline that automatically intercepts these conversations. The agent reads the raw logs, cross-references them against specific company parameters, and delivers a single, beautifully synthesized briefing at the exact moment he chooses to sit down and deal with admin. This shift from a reactive state of constant digital firefighting to absolute, proactive control completely transforms the corporate operator, both physically and mentally. He no longer feels that erratic, exhausting adrenaline spike that comes from answering every trivial, blinking notification flashing across his double monitors mid-shift. This structural shielding lets his nervous system drop into a state of deep, sustained focus, creating the perfect conditions for making the high-impact decisions that actually move the needle. With this protective shield firmly in place, our professional is now perfectly positioned to master the specific mechanics of total intellectual isolation. By the way, if you fancy carrying on cutting through the tech hype and protecting your cognitive energy from serious burnout, take 2 seconds to subscribe to the channel. We're on a mission to hit our first 1,000 subscribers, and having you on board helps us keep churning out these raw high-leverage efficiency frameworks. Smash that button, and let's crack on with the next pillar of this system. Topic 3. Deep Work Isolation Framework. Once this digital fortress is built, the elite operator can finally roll out a legendary time management strategy that shields his mental clarity from the constant erosion of admin upkeep. A wise mentor knows true genius requires uninterrupted, deep cognitive isolation, a concept beautifully laid out by productivity masters in books like Deep Work by Cal Newport. Rather than scattering his energy across 50 microtasks, our professional blocks out solid 3-hour windows dedicated entirely to high-leverage strategic work. During these sacred stretches, his custom-built AI agents handled the entire incoming tide of non-urgent corporate requests, responding to routine inquiries with pre-approved brand guidelines. This no-nonsense isolation framework lets the executive completely detach from the shallow urgency that leaves his peers perpetually knackered and unproductive. For example, he can set his primary communication channel to a secure, automated gateway that only forwards messages containing specific, pre-agreed emergency keywords tied to multi-million-pound deals. Everything else gets quietly routed to an analytical engine that drafts polished, context-aware responses and tucks them neatly in a draft folder for a single, 20-minute review right at the end of his day. By ruthlessly automating this corporate maintenance loop, a man instantly claws back up to 80% of the psychological energy previously wasted on decision fatigue. He stops reacting to everyone else's agenda and starts dictating the exact terms of his own professional execution, opening up a massive competitive gap between himself and the rest of the market. This level of operational mastery transforms his entire relationship with technology, turning it from an exhausting, abusive dependency into a genuinely profitable, harmonious partnership. As this new routine settles his cognitive battery, he naturally starts climbing towards the final stage of long-term market dominance. Topic 4. The long-term corporate mastery. The ultimate payoff of this technological pivot is the complete, permanent transformation of a professional's personal and economic standing within his industry. A true sage knows sustainable wealth and career longevity are never built on a foundation of chronic exhaustion and frantic short-term survival tactics. By shifting from a standard tech user to a calculated architect of cognitive leverage, someone effectively steps out of the stressful rat race that claims the health of thousands of British workers every single year. He stops being a vulnerable cog in a chaotic corporate machine and instead becomes the independent director of a lean, highly automated personal enterprise. This advanced structural framework lets a high performer stay at peak execution for decades without ever hitting that dreaded wall of professional burnout. Take an executive managing complex international portfolios. He looks at his calendar and sees a beautifully clear landscape, entirely free of admin clutter. He uses this freed-up mental energy to master timeless business strategies laid out by legendary mentors, keeping his insights sharp, unclouded, and hugely valuable to his partners. This deliberate preservation of focus turns his mind into a high-yielding asset that compounds in value over time. When a man reaches this level of operational clarity, his mere presence commands a serious premium in today's marketplace, because he holds the rarest commodity going, an unshakable peace of mind. He watches his ambitious peers burn out and fade away by their mid-40s, while he carries on climbing to greater heights of influence and capital with total ease. This deliberate shift doesn't just save his health and his relationships, it also lays down a bulletproof blueprint for multi-generational professional success. With all 4 foundational pillars of this architecture now in place, the strategic operator is completely ready to take command of his professional domain. Conclusion. At the end of the day, discovering a hidden AI method to cure 90% of your burnout means absolutely nothing if you carry on with the exact same chaotic corporate habits tomorrow morning. True professional leverage demands immediate cold-blooded action, and building an autonomous buffer zone to protect your finite attention span is your first real step towards operational freedom. Why stay a stressed, exhausted worker drowning in endless notifications when you now have the exact blueprint to centralize and automate your entire workflow? It's time to stop playing by the exhausting rules of traditional productivity and start operating like a calculated modern strategist. Let me leave you with a rather provoking question to chew on before you close this video tonight. If you carry on managing your time and your tech exactly the same way you did last week, how much energy and health will you honestly burn through over the next year? Are you genuinely happy sacrificing your mental clarity and peace of mind just to look busy, or are you ready to master a lean, high-leverage setup that protects your sanity? The top-tier operators in the UK marketplace don't chase every shiny new app. They deliberately build a single, powerful system to dominate their industry while staying completely calm. The choice is entirely yours, but remember that a year from now, your career and your health will wish you'd made this pivot today. If you're truly ready to future-proof your career, protect your mind, and consistently unlock these deep, non-obvious digital strategies, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now and turn those notifications on. By joining our growing community today, you'll make sure you never miss our weekly tactical breakdowns on high-performance frameworks and corporate mastery. Don't let this knowledge fade into the background of another busy week. Restructure your AI setup tonight. Deploy your autonomous buffer, and we'll see you in the next video.